And we are live. Welcome back, everyone, for another stream. How's everyone doing tonight? How was your game week 11? Green arrow, red arrow? How many points did you guys finish on? Hope you're all doing well. Thank you for being here. I wasn't planning to do a stream tonight, actually. I was out last night for my birthday party, and I got in about 3 in the morning. I think it was even later than that, actually. However, as some of you know, I made the decision to bench boost this game week for several reasons, which are discussed on my Game Week 11 team selection video and, of course, on the deadline stream. It was an experiment. I'd always wanted to bench boost in a single game week, and the opportunity presented itself. So, yeah, as it happens, it went about as good as I could have ever hoped. So it was a green arrow from 323rd to 2nd overall. If only Antonio had scored tonight, it would have notched me to first place. The only difference between me and first place was he had Jota playing tonight, and I had Antonio. So, yeah, 3 goals for West Ham, but Antonio not involved, regrettably. Also, hilariously, was the fact that I sold Diaz and Norman on the bench boost transfer. Diaz left the team for Chilwell, which made sense to me. I thought there was more upside there. And, of course, Diaz kept the clean sheet. Chilwell conceded one to Burnley. And, of course, Norman scored for Norwich. And Heung-min Son, of course, didn't. In fact, Tottenham didn't take a single shot on target. So, bit of a disaster that. But I can't complain, really. I'm very, very happy. The bench got me 24 points. The data suggests that on a bench boost, you want about 10 to 16 points. And we got well over that. So, I'm very, very happy, all in all. Great game week. I hope everyone had a great game week. Obviously, it's the last one, and then we've got the international break now for 2 weeks. But I've got loads of good content planned for over the international break. I've got a couple of additions in plan for the specials video playlist. I can't reveal too much more than that, but loads of great stuff to come over the break. Did anyone else bench boost this game week? I mean, I know it's a very unpopular move because typically people use it in a double game week, and there is logic to it. You're more likely to have 15 people playing, but I'll say there's pros and cons. If you bench boost in a double, typically you have to wildcard right before the bench boost, and say we have a double game week in game week 35, then you end up forcing yourself to wildcard so late in the season that there's potentially missed opportunities, other players you could have had, which is very difficult to measure, of course. And the other thing you can do is you can still wildcard late in the season, but you can wildcard straight into the double game week, which gives you a 1 week advantage on everyone else who has to use the wildcard a week before you. And you've also got the opportunities to free hit or triple captain the double game week. So I don't think it's as clear cut as people say. But like I said on the deadline stream, if this bench boost in a single game week is a success, it's not necessarily an indication that it's a better strategy, not by any means. It happened to go very well for me, but it's not clear cut. But yeah, I hope everyone's well. Thank you for tuning into the stream. We've got over 200 tuned in already. Thank you so much for that. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you do hit subscribe. Like I say, loads of content planned over the break. Loads planned for this stream even, so we'll chat about that. Magnus had an 11k, a green arrow from 11k to 2k. Very nice, Magnus. Congratulations. So I finished on, how many did I get? 103 points. Hit the 100 barrier. Thomas says, how are you so chill at 2nd overall? It's probably the hangover, I'll be honest. Like I say, I got in about 3 o'clock this morning, and it was a heavy night, I'll tell you that. So basically, we did like a pub crawl, and then towards the end of the pub crawl, we were like, what should we do next? And we found a karaoke bar in Mayfair in London. So I rang him up on my phone, gave him my card details. We rented a booth in a karaoke bar. We were singing our heart out until the early hours. Hence, I don't know if you can hear my voice, but it's gone a little bit. Mitesh, how you doing, mate? Babel says, hey, Focal, should have played my bench boost this week. Got Forster, Antonio, Rafinha and Norman, 62 points. Oh, unlucky, mate. Like I said, though, you have to play your own game. It's hindsight, isn't it? I was saying, don't necessarily use your bench boost just because I am. It's not necessarily a good idea, but I'd always wanted to try it, and it was a good opportunity to do it considering the bench I had. And luckily, Livramento came through. Of course, Foster saved the penalty. He made a lot of saves. I think he'll get some bonus as well. Chilwell disappointed. Could have been even more. And then Smith Rowe scored as well. So Marticus asked a good question. He says, what do you do with your team now? Big benching dilemma next game week. Yeah, so this is how I'm currently lining up for game week 12. And yeah, there is a benching dilemma. If only I could have another bench boost, because I could have easily used it in 12 as well. But at the moment, this is the lineup. Livramento drops to the bench. Whether we'll see Tottenham improve defensively under Conte remains to be seen. At the moment, I'm taking a chance on that, so Rafinha's benched. Of course, Tottenham kept a clean sheet earlier today against Everton. And Smith Rowe on the bench as well. Not ideal, but there we go. Thanks, Mededi. Horizon says time to drink some more to celebrate. Good timing. I'm just pouring myself a drink, but it's a soft drink. Pouring myself a Pepsi Max. I think I'm addicted to Pepsi Max. I seem to always have a glass of Pepsi Max on stream. Rubek says, you're from the future, aren't you? Can you tell me who wins the Premier League? I'm not, unfortunately, from the future. No, I'm not. But if I was to guess, I think Man City or Chelsea win it. What do you guys think? Who wins the league? Ramsdale got a bonus point as well. Yeah, good point, Lewis. I forgot about that. Yeah. Marticus says, sell Tony. He has not been producing. Rafinha a better option. I think I'll give Tony one more chance. Really, really is one more chance, though. And then I'll consider moving him on or benching him for the Tottenham game in Game Week 13. I think I'm going to keep hold of him because it's Newcastle. But yeah. It's not great. He's gone up 0.4 and he hasn't scored a single goal despite those price rises. Absolute madness. Let's do a little bit of a news roundup. So actually a couple of managers sacked this game week. The first was Daniel Farke, who has left Norwich City with immediate effect off the back of a win as well. So I'm presuming that they had decided this already, regardless of the outcome, that he was going to be leaving after this match. And yeah, he finished with a win, so congrats to him. He did very well to bring them up twice to the Premier League, but he could never quite kick on in the Premier League, so shame. It's always a shame to see a manager sacked, but yeah, he's gone. As is Dean Smith, following a club statement from Aston Villa earlier today. They're obviously on a very, very poor run of form as well. I think they're on 5 losses in a row in the league. So Dean Smith leaving as well. Is there anyone rumoured to be taken over? Does anyone know? And speaking of the new managers, we talked about Tottenham, and for Tottenham, this is now 2 consecutive Premier League games without a single shot on target. The last time they did this was in 2003. So obviously only one of these 2 was under Conte, but yeah, not a single shot on target today by Tottenham against Everton. But of course, it's still early doors, and I think Son and Kane, maybe both, will come good in the coming weeks. So on to the scout selection. This was the lineup that they had for Game Week 11. Guesses in the chat how many points you think the scout got in Game Week 11. They had Ramsdale, Chilwell, Dunk, Pinnock, Salah, Foden, Rafinha, Smith Rowe, Kane, Vardy and Tony. How many points do you think the scout got? Devin says, well done man, unreal stuff. Thank you mate, appreciate that. Thanks Maka. Nuisance says Wilson or Jimenez. At the moment, I think I'd go Jimenez, but I think they both could be quite good picks. Be interesting to see how Wilson does under Eddie Howe. I think the best that we've seen of Wilson in the Premier League was under Eddie Howe, so definitely he's on the watch list. But I think at the moment I'd go for Jimenez. Oh, Mohamed says I heard Gerrard's going to Villa. Interesting. That'd be great to see Gerrard in the Premier League. It was always a matter of time that we saw Gerrard back in the Prem. And yeah, maybe that'd be a good thing if he starts off at a smaller club and then maybe one day takes over after the Klopp era comes to an end, whenever that is. Irish guess is 45, Simeon 60, Mackenzie 54, AC 63, a lot of guesses there, 39, 50, 55, 52, 34. The scout got 47 points. Bit of a stinker from the scout. I'm blocking the points, I just realised. I need to put it in the opposite corner. But 47 points for the scout. This is subject to the bonus points, which may change, but about 47. If my math is correct. So Not a great score. I think it's just about above average. I think the average this game week is 40 points overall, or thereabouts. Aidan says the Denmark coach is linked to a move to Villa. Oh, interesting. Who's the Denmark coach? Kasper Hjulmand. Oh yes, I recognise him. I recognise him from the Euros. I was actually at the semi-final when England played against Denmark. I think I almost had a heart attack that game. I surprised my mum with tickets to it, actually. It was very sweet. She cried, and yeah, we went to the game, and it was an incredible semi-final against Denmark. I'm just glad I didn't get tickets to the final instead, because those were significantly more expensive, and after all that, I didn't come home. Worth Faint says Cancelo in. Yeah, I think if we don't own him at this point, you have to be looking at Cancelo. The fixtures are still very good. We'll talk more about the fixtures later, but in Man City's case, it's a good run of fixtures they've got coming up. The next two are at home against Everton and West Ham, and then beyond that, there's a lot of green fixtures. Villa, Watford, Wolves, Leeds, Newcastle, Leicester, Brentford. I think even a triple up's viable, and I kind of didn't want to sell Diaz, but it was the only way that I could get in Heung-min Son, and I really wanted to have Heung-min Son for the bench boost team, and also for the run of games that Tottenham have got coming up. 3 home games in the next 4. Mohammed says, are you sponsored by Pepsi Max? I'm not. That would be nice. If anyone at PepsiCo is watching this, do sponsor me. I'll take your money happily to drink your drink on my screen. Sujit, how you doing, mate? He says, rooting for you, FPL Focal, top 5 finish. The thing is, it's such a good position I'm in now, but it's also so early in the season. You know, I'd much rather be in this position 20 game weeks from now, because a lot can change between now and the end of the season. But yeah, it's incredible to be this high. And if I have a very good game week 12, then I could be pushing first in the world. But yeah, there's only one person in front of me in the overall standings, but there's about 8.5 million people behind me. So there's a long queue behind looking to overtake me, I'll put it that way. And there's just one guy in front of me that I'm looking to overtake. Mackenzie says you're rank 1 after bonus points. Is that true? I think I'm second. I'll get up live FPL. Let's check live FPL. I'm pretty sure I'm second because Antonio didn't come in with any returns. I needed Antonio to get something, basically. So here we go. Live FPL. Yeah, so I am second. I think post subs it remains second as well. Can't complain though. 104 points on the bench boost team. Thank you so much everyone who has tuned in so far. Do hit like on this stream if you are enjoying it, or if you want to follow my progress throughout the season. I release typically 4 videos every week. I do captains videos, my team selection. I do a roundup style video which has useful snippets of info like the bookies odds, predicted points, etc. And I have a series which follows the top 100 all-time managers each week with an interview with one of those managers. So we follow like their team selection, their transfers. And if I'm totally honest, I think a lot of my success this season I have to attribute to that series. That's not me just plugging the series, but genuinely doing those interviews with the top 100 all-time managers. There's so much that I've learned and picked up from speaking with them, soaking up their advice and their tips, basically. And of course, there was the interview with Fabio Borges, who's the greatest all-time FPL manager. Definitely learnt a lot from the interview with him. And I would say my playstyle's definitely changed significantly this season. I've got plenty of top 50k finishes, quite a few top 100k finishes, but this is by far the best rank I've ever had at this point in the season. Petito says, interview yourself. Consider this an interview. You guys ask me questions. But I wouldn't say I'm worthy of an interview, but I'll happily answer any of your team questions and so on. I have updated the Kings of the Gameweek graphic. This is where it looks after Gameweek 11. I believe it's Cancelo. Or did Trent sneak into first? I made this right before the game, so I'm not sure if Cancelo still is the king of Gameweek 11 with 14 points. But yeah, this is how it looks. James appears there twice already. It's very rare that we have repeats so early. I think last season we didn't have a repeat until something like Gameweek 30, which was crazy. But it shows how unpredictable the Kings of the Gameweek are. Those of you that are in my Discord, there's a link to that in the description. Do join if you're not in it. But we have a new game on the Discord where you basically guess who you think is going to be the king of the game week. And then if you get it correct, you get a little server role and a coloured username and all that. Ayush says, interview Marcel and Sponchi. I'll try and get them on, but I think they probably think they're too big for the show. Marticus says, Cancelo, Trent. Oh, Trent got 12, so it is Cancelo with his 14 points. Okay, fair enough. Can anyone guess who the biggest XG underperformer and XG overperformers were for game week 11? Actually, this is a really hard one compared to previous game weeks, but as always, I've put together a little graphic on which players underperformed their XG the most and which players overperformed their XG the most. I'll give you a clue on the XG overperformer. He was in my team at some point this season, very recently. Strikey says, where's Salah? Yeah, Salah's still not made the Kings of the Game Week, has he? I think, yeah, Bruno got it Game Week 1 with a hat-trick. Last season, Salah got it Game Week 1 with the hat-trick against Leeds, but no Salah, I think, so far. So the biggest XG underperformer was actually Norgard from Brentford. He didn't score a goal, but he had an XG of 1.17. Second place was a bit more guessable. I don't know if there was any Aubameyang. Mackie got it. Aubameyang. Obviously, Aubameyang had the penalty. Penalties typically have an XG of, I think it's 0.74. So about 3 in every 4 penalties are converted. Plus, he had a couple of shots on top of that. So he had an XG of 0.84, but didn't score. Anyone in chat, Captain Aubameyang? Commiserations if you were one of them, because he was a viable captain differential, I have to say. On another day, he buries the penalty, and it's a different story. Lohan says Norman was the overperformer. Yeah, absolutely correct. Norman had an XG of 0.06, but he scored. I actually haven't seen Norman's goal. Was it an absolute worldie? Was it really far out? Adam Armstrong as well. He had an XG of 0.07, and he scored. Decided to keep hold of him in the bench boost team. He did have a very good game week 10, which was something I discussed on a previous stream. And I felt he would get the nod again, especially after the comments Hassan Hootel made in his presser. So it made sense to keep hold of Armstrong. I did think it would probably be Adams and Armstrong that started up top. And yeah, it was a good start to the game week with the early goal from Armstrong. At the detriment of Dean Smith, of course, who's now out of a job. Carl Burton, Captain Chilwell. Oh, unfortunate. Very unfortunate. I think the likes of James and Chilwell were also feasible differential captains, but it was one of those weeks where the differentials didn't really come in. Vardy as well, another example of that. And once again, Salah gets an attacking return. He's only blanked once all season, which is absolutely crazy. RT Whitby says, makes a good point. He says, this is why you should play Trent 100% of the time and play him 100% of the time. So yeah, basically, if you own Trent, you start him regardless of who he's playing. And I said the exact same thing on the deadline stream. It doesn't matter who Trent's playing. If he's playing Man City, I'll start him. You know, if he's playing Chelsea, I'll start him because he's always got the clean sheet chance, but likewise, he's got the chance of attacking returns. And after today, he's on 1 goal and 4 assists for the season, plus 5 clean sheets. So yeah, it's something that gets said a lot, but you can consider Trent basically a midfielder who can get you attacking returns. Kian says Vardy out. Vulcan says Vardy out. Who have Leicester got next? I actually can't remember who Leicester play. It's Chelsea, isn't it? Yeah, I think it is time to consider moving Vardy on. I mean, it's not like the alternatives like Kane are giving you much reason to consider them, but I would say Kane outscores Vardy over the next 4, even though Kane's not done a significant amount so far. Or you can downgrade him to a cheaper forward and upgrade a midfielder to a Son or something like that. Okay, can anyone guess who the most transferred in player is heading into Game Week 12? Obviously very early right now. We're only about an hour after the Game Week's finished, but It'd be a very early indication. Can anyone guess who the most transferred in player is? Or if not, how many of the top 10 can you name? Hey, Darius guesses Bowen. Strikey reckons it's James. Vice says it's Son. Fronthep, Smith Rowe. A couple of guesses for Son. Ramsdale, Gallagher's in there. Most transferred in. Oh, wrong button. Is Gallagher so far. Already 140,000 have picked him up. This is probably quite obvious advice, but I'll say it anyway in case anyone doesn't know this or isn't aware of this, but it's never a good idea to make such an early transfer. 140,000 already picked up Gallagher, and he's a very good pick, by the way. He does look like a very good pick this season. But we've got the international break now, so it's going to be about 2 weeks until Gameweek 12. So, yeah, it's a massive gamble to make any early moves, obviously, because for all you know, a couple of your players could get injured over the international break. And unless you're wildcarding, then you're in a bit of a pinch because you could end up taking hits, or you could bring in someone who gets injured. For example, Reece James, he's the second most transferred in, 118,000. I think he's been called up for England, if I'm not mistaken. And, he could play and get injured. Certainly hope he doesn't, because I got him, but yeah. It's worth mentioning. And what about the most transferred out? Can you guys guess who the most transferred out players are heading into Game Week 12? Again, it's very early, but it gives us a rough idea of the transfer trends. No surprise to see Livramento and Smith Rowe also here among the top. Some fantastic budget options this season, especially in midfield. The likes of Gallagher, Smith Rowe, Rafinha. And even Norman, if you're looking for a base value bench enabler who you don't necessarily have to start, but Norwich do have very good fixtures, so it's not the worst option to have first on your bench. A few guesses for Aubameyang, Vardy, Ronaldo's there, Sanchez, Benrahma. A lot of guesses for Vardy. The most transferred out player currently heading into Game Week 12 is Sanchez indeed. Obviously got the red card in Game Week 11. Very, very unfortunate. I suppose there's quite a few managers out there that had Raya from Brentford and then sold him for Sanchez. I shouldn't laugh because that is very unfortunate. And there's nothing you can do about that. What can you do about your player getting a 4 to 5 month injury and then the player you replace him with getting a red card? Is it a 3-match suspension or is it 1? I think he took someone out who was through on goal, right? 1-on-1 or thereabouts, an open goal. Is that right? Chakey says, any mid recommendations with 9.4 available? If you can stretch to 10.2 or whatever Son is, I think he's a very good pick for the next 4. Foden is affordable. I'd say Foden's a good one. You could always go all the way down to a cheaper option like Gallagher. I still think Rafinha is a good option. What do you guys think about this team for next game week? Is there anyone on the bench who you would start? Because I set myself up for a strong bench boost, I do have a little bit of a benching dilemma again. Livramento goes back to the bench, and I'm sure he could find a way to punish me for doing that, as he has done in every previous game week besides this one. Rafinha as well, second on the bench, and Smith Rowe last. But the plan is to roll the transfer, definitely. My thinking was, with this bench boost as well, although I won't have the 2 transfers to take into the international break, I will have a strong bench. So, say someone like Armstrong or Tony picks up an injury. I suppose neither of them will unless it's in training, but I've got the option to start someone like Livramento or Rafinha. Rob French says, how do I see my rank after bonus and everything? The 2 best sites for that is fplgameweek.com and livefpl.net. They're both very good websites. All you need for that is your team ID. So to get that, you just go to points up here. And then if you look in your URL bar in your browser, it will have a number, which is your team ID. And then all you do is you put that number on that website, which was livefpl.net or fplgameweek.com. And that'll give you your live rank. Really, really useful. The other way you can do it is on our Discord, you can set your team up and you can track it on our Discord. Can't do a stream without plugging the Discord, can I? But it's a genuinely good FPL resource. We've got things like the price changes, we've got the lineups, we've got the live scores, live points, and all of these channels are automated by bots, which is perfect for me, by the way, when I'm hungover like I am today from my birthday party. Injury updates, top 10k, insider trading, news, transfer trends, new players, disaster class, deadline alerts, the Reddit hot post, the captain poll, and what was actually on here for? Oh yeah, of course, it was to show you the live rank thing. So this is something you can do. You can just do +L and you press enter, and then the bot will tell you your live rank. Although sometimes it will give you an error like this if live FPL's down. Anyway, so to join, there's a link in the description, but I'll also put it in the chat for everyone to join if you'd like to. Really, really good resource. Genuinely good community. It has its moments, but we've got a good team of moderators like Vi, who I think's here moderating right now. There it is. Nuisance says Jimenez or Wilson. I think I'd go Jimenez, but definitely Wilson's on the watch list. Definitely one I'm keeping an eye on. I've got an early look at the Goalscorer ads actually for Gameweek 12, so let's have a look at that. Courtesy of fplreview.com. Another really good FPL resource. Definitely recommend it. I use it every week to sanity check my moves. And for Gameweek 12, the Goalscorer odds are as follows. Salah is top for the game against Arsenal at Anfield. 53% chance of a goal at any time. Followed by Harry Kane, 48% chance of a goal against Leeds, also playing at home. I like the look of that fixture. Ronaldo, 48% chance playing against Watford. Could be a good game for those who still have Ronaldo. I know he's been quite heavily sold, but could be a good game for him. And the fixtures do turn very nicely for Man United soon. Who else is up there? Foden's up there, 39% chance. Lukaku's up there. Of course, the bookies odds presume that a player starts, and that's sometimes not the case. Wilson and Jimenez are about even, 36 and 35% chance of a goal. Adam Armstrong and Son up there as well. I've also got the clean sheet odds for Game Week 12, which is as follows. Also courtesy of FPL Review. Man City well out in front, top, 57% chance of a clean sheet. They're playing against Everton in Game Week 12. Followed by Chelsea, 38% chance. They're playing against Leicester away, which is a tougher game, certainly. That said, they did concede to Burnley at Stamford Bridge, so who knows. But yeah, I'm happy to have the likes of Chilwell and James. Because again, they're the type of players that can get you an attack in return, even if they fail to keep a clean sheet. So they're well worth starting regardless. Chilwell, of course, up against his former team. Liverpool have a 37% chance against Arsenal playing at home. Man United, of course, up there as well. But rock bottom is Everton. 7% chance the bookies have given them against Man City. Arsenal also way down there, 9% chance against Liverpool playing away at Anfield. And lastly, the predicted points, which factors in everything: assists, goals, clean sheets, etc. And Salah is top on the predicted points for Game Week 12. 7.78 predicted points, followed by Foden, interestingly, 6.16. He's got just 75 predicted minutes. Ronaldo's third, 5.97. Does anyone still have Ronaldo? There's a captaincy decision to be made there if you've got Ronaldo. I'd be very tempted against Watford. Son's up there as well, 5.93 predicted points. He's actually higher than Kane. Mane and KDB up there as well. Cancelo. Jota. Disappointing tonight, Jota, but with Firmino's long-term injury, Jota looks like a fantastic pick right now. He's another one. I've forgotten who asked the question about budget mids, but I think Jota's another very, very good option while Firmino's out. Sorry if I've missed any questions in chat. Where did we get to? Yeah, we've got over 400 watching live, are you? Unbelievable. Thank you so much to everyone that has tuned in. I normally read out the names of all the participants, but I think it would take me a while to get through them all. Should we give it a go anyway? Thank you for tuning into today's stream. Aaron Ayush, Abikwani, Adam, got two Adams, RTI, BTEC Demi, Divi, English, Hey Darius, Homie, Jamie, Jano, Jano's here. I didn't see Jano. JDC, John, Jordan, Krishna, Last King, Luca, Messi and Ronaldo, Mohammed, Nuisance RT, Riyadh, Rohit, Shrestha, Stephen, Strikey, Stuart, Toby, Visak, Faint, aka Kajuro, Yash, and Yonan. Always makes me laugh when I get to Yonan, who's always at the bottom of the list. Thank you to Yonan for being here. Yeah, second Eunice. Unbelievable. Thanks, Ben. Dr. Domino says Jesus in next week. Yeah, Jesus, he's one of those, isn't it? You overlook him because at the back of your head you think, he's never going to get the consistent minutes, but he's been playing a lot and he's been doing very well. He's moved to obviously more of a right-sided position rather than through the middle. We've kind of seen the likes of Foden and even Bernardo Silva in Gameweek 11 playing in that false 9 position. But Jesus is getting consistent minutes. I'm not tempted personally, not at the moment. I haven't decided which way I'm going to go with my team, but certainly I'll plan to roll the transfer and then I'll make a move in Game Week 13. Ideally just one transfer. I like to have 2 banked if possible. The Scrambler says, overall rank 2. Big congratulations, Focal. Thank you, mate. Appreciate that very much. Tim, thanks for the donation. He says, keep up the great work, mate. Chill on the Pepsi Max. Go Coke Zero. The irony is I just poured myself another glass right before you did that donation. Maybe the Pepsi Max is the secret sauce. Maybe I need to attribute it to the Pepsi Max. I don't know what the rules are about talking about brands on YouTube streams. Hopefully I don't get flagged for that. I do go on about Pepsi Max a lot and I'm not sponsored by them. Michael Quirk says Brentford double up. No, I don't think so. It depends what the double up is you're referring to, but if it's Mbeumo and Tony, I don't think so. They're not really doing enough to convince, in my opinion. I think Mbeumo's a more reasonable pick. Obviously he's cheaper, also playing out of position. I realise in Game Week 11 I think he got some minutes in right wing back, but he's cheaper and his underlying numbers are good as well. But Tony's just been very disappointing so far. I picked him up, I think it was in Game Week 9, thereabouts. And yeah, he's not scored since Game Week 5, so not great. And it's a shame. I really thought he would be a great pick, especially because he had that record-breaking championship season where I think he had 40 goal involvements. Absolutely bonkers numbers. Certainly he could still come good, but yeah, I really don't hope he doesn't end up another Mitrovic type of player. Because Mitrovic, I'm conscious that he's incredible in the championship. I'm just trying to find the top scorers for this season. I think he's well out in front on the top scorers. Yeah, Mitrovic is on 20 goals and 5 assists, which is just crazy numbers. But then whenever he plays in the Premier League, he's never really done a significant amount. He's the type of striker that might get 8-9 goals in a season. But yeah, he's on 20 goals in the Championship and he's only played 17 games. Crazy numbers. Mohammed says the Pepsi Max merchant is second. Congrats. Thank you. Matty says, how far are you behind first place? Good question. Let me check that. I think I'm 3 points behind first place. So basically, first place had Jota and I had Antonio playing tonight. Those were the difference between our two teams. So I needed an Antonio return and I would have gone first. And of course, West Ham scored 3, but Antonio wasn't involved. Otherwise, I would have been in first place. Not that I can complain, really, can I? Yeah, I'm 3 points behind. Gangsters Allardyce is the name of the first place team. He's on 850 and I am on 847. Third place is Glazers Out. Adam Hornick asks, who would you consider as a premium striker now? I'll still be tempted by Kane. I think the next 4 fixtures are well worth the punt, even though he's not been very convincing. Yeah, Kane would be my pick. And then the fixtures turn quite nicely for Man United. So you can see here the next 4 for Tottenham is Leeds at home, Burnley away, Brentford at home, and then Norwich at home. And then from game week 16, Man United have got Norwich, Brentford, Brighton. You could even double up with Ronaldo, but I don't think I think you struggle to get the money there. I think I'd probably keep Kane for the Norwich home game, even though Man United play Palace. And then you could move Kane to Norwich then. So you basically get back-to-back games against Norwich, who so far have been the whipping boys this season. So definitely a team to target. That's what I would consider. Kane to Ronaldo looks like a good option around Gameweek 15, 16. But Kane's the premium, I think, right now that you want if you're going to get a premium striker. Freddie asks a good question. He says Kane or Son. I think at the moment, on current form and price difference, it has to be Son. He's about 1.8 cheaper, I believe. And he's done more this season. He scored the other day in the Europa Conference League, which was the first goal under Conte's reign. So I think Son's a very good option. I think Kane is as well. And you could even double up, to be honest. I think it's a very, very reasonable punt. Good differential double up. You know, in Son's case, he's not even 20% owned. And in Kane's case, I believe he's something like 8% owned. So huge opportunity to fly up the ranks there if you jump on the Spurs assets for the next 4. It's certainly a gamble on a new manager bounce and Conte turning them round. Today, obviously, goalless, not a single shot on target, which isn't very convincing, but they've got the international break now. So, yeah, time for Conte to, train with the team, those that aren't on duty, and we'll see how they look after the break. But it's a good game against Leeds after the break. Tin Street says, hi, new subscriber. What a game week. Thanks, Tin. Appreciate that. Observe says, nice overall rank. Thank you, mate. Thank you for all the kind words in the chat about the game week and the season. Yeah, it was a huge gamble, like I said earlier, using the bench boost in a single. I've never done it before. I've always used it in a double game week, and I did kind of talk about the pros and cons of using it in the single, and there's definitely an argument to both ways. And like I said earlier, the fact that it went well for me doesn't necessarily mean that it's a better strategy now. But there definitely is justifications to doing it. And one of the things I like to remind myself each season is to be open to new tactics, new ways to approach the game. Historically, I would always free hit in a blank game week because it looks obvious on paper. You can field a full 11 when otherwise you're stuck with half a team. But last season, I used to free hit in the triple game week when Man United had 3 games. And I scored something like 126, which was like 40 above average. So definitely be open to new tactics every season. It's easy to get stuck on one way of playing, I suppose. I've talked about this before and it's a bit sad, but on my desktop I've got a little notepad document, and I check it once in a while just to keep myself in check, and it's got a few reminders of how I should play and what I should do. So I'll just read out a few. I've got things like have a plan and stick to it, obvious one, and that's something that we've heard from the top 100 all-time FPL managers for those that watch that series on the channel. If you pick up a player and then someone else hauls, you don't just suddenly jump off your plan and pick up the other player. Have a plan and stick to it. Another one here is hits don't pay off most of the time. It's a gamble, and most of the time an unnecessary one in my opinion. I've only taken 1 hit this season, but I think last season I'd taken about 3 or 4 by this point. Another one is avoid bandwagons. I think that's an obvious one. At the start of the season, you can make an argument for jumping on a bandwagon. But if a player is a bandwagon without actually being, a genuinely good pick, like Kovacic, for example, he was hitting some form, wasn't he? And Kovacic was flying up in price, but avoid those bandwagons. Anyway, there's loads more on that notepad doc. I think it'd end up like a whole lesson if I went through all of them. S2 says Antonio or Hwang. I still think Antonio, honestly. I still think he'll come good. He's got some tough games. You could potentially bench him for the City game or the Chelsea game, but I'm happy to have Antonio. I still think he'll come good, and he's still a very good option in my opinion. Fakar says, what's your final squad for week 12? This is it at the moment. I do have a bit of a benching dilemma once again, and the bench boost, of course, is used up, so that's not an option. But this is how I'm looking for Game Week 12. Livramento is first on the bench against Norwich. Don't like benching Livramento. Don't like that, but who would you bench for him? I have to start Armstrong. I think I'll give Tony a last chance. I'm going to start Antonio, certainly. So there's no one I can really bench here. And I think I'll have to bench Rafinha and hope that today was an indication that Conte is shoring them up defensively and Leeds will struggle to put anything past Tottenham in Gameweek 12. To Young says Ramsdale or McCarthy. Both very good options, but I would say Ramsdale at the moment. Both very good options though. Obviously with keepers, you have to look long term because it's very, very rare you make a keeper transfer. And you look at Ramsdale and you think, oh, he's got some horrendous fixtures here. You know, Liverpool, Man United, Everton. But when are you realistically going to use your second wildcard, which is when you'll potentially change keeper? It's going to be around here, isn't it? Like game week 32 or something before a double game week. So you have to look at the bigger picture here, this entire run of games. And, you know, there's not much in it between them. You look at Southampton's and theirs is similar. Arsenal's just happens to be condensed over the next few weeks. But Southampton have got tough games as well. You know, Liverpool here, Arsenal, Man City, Man United, Tottenham. So not much between them, but I would go for Ramsdale. Isaac says, will Norman rise and Son drop? Not sure about the price changes. Let's have a look. I normally use FPL statistics. Norman's only on 11.2% chance of rising, so I don't think so. And Son's on a 49% chance of rising, so I think you're fine. I think if anything, Son will go up, not drop, but it's probably going to be not until much deeper into the international break. Thank you everyone who has tuned in so far. We've got about 590 tuned in, which is a record turnout. If you are enjoying the stream, do hit like and of course subscribe to the channel if you'd like to follow my content and journey throughout this season. Got loads planned for over the international break. I can't go into too much detail now, but I'm really excited. There's two videos that I've been working on that I've had in mind for a long time, and the only time I really get the opportunity to work on original videos is over the international breaks. For those that aren't aware, I've got a playlist on my channel called Special Videos, and I've made some videos on some, you know, unique stuff, original content, things like the biggest Gameweek score of all time, the all-time best FPL manager, which was Fabio Borges.
Welcome back for another
video. I was just opening the playlist there to find the others. I did one on José Mourinho when he joined the Premier League. Before he came to the Premier League, 4-4-2 was the really popular formation, and he introduced wingers, or made them very popular, and at the time there wasn't really a position for wingers in FPL. I did one on if Messi's 2011-12 season was an FPL, what that would have looked like. We would have got you 916 points as captain. Yeah, so there's a couple more additions coming to that playlist over the international break. Looking forward to that. Webfane says, happy birthday, Focal. Thank you, mate. Appreciate that. My birthday's actually on Friday, but I celebrated it yesterday with my mates, and then I'll be out next weekend again celebrating. Don says, Rafinha or Smith Rowe? I think I would go Rafinha. Tin says, can't believe I've only discovered this channel now. Very happy I did. You seem very insightful. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate that a lot. Thank you for the kind words. Thanks for all the lovely words in this stream so far. It's a pleasure to have so many people watching live. I Observe says, on a scale of 1 to 10, how heavily do you depend on stats? I would say 10. Basically 10. I do factor in eye test, you know, when I'm watching games and the player looks very, very lively. I will bear that in mind, but I'm very stats oriented. Those who you know, subscribe to the channel already and have seen my previous videos, every video I make I talk about stats. You know, in the captain's video I'll talk about player XG, you know, expected assists, etc., predicted points. You know, and I'll talk about things like expected goals conceded when we're talking about which teams are likely to concede. So yeah, definitely I'm very stats oriented, and the stats don't lie, which is a recurring theme in the top 100 all-time FPL managers series. I try to interview one of the managers each week, and a lot of them do look at the stats too, and yeah, they all say the stats don't lie, so that's why they look at the stats. Ruskin says, are you still number 2? Yeah, still number 2. 3 points off first place, or 3 points off tying first place. Mitch says second place is like an early birthday present. It is. I couldn't ask for a better birthday present than that, really. I suppose I could, first place. But it's close enough. I'll take it. I can't complain. It's good to be in such a nice position. And I was feeling the pressure using that bench boost because it did get very, very mixed feedback when I activated it. Again, talking about data, the data suggests that on a bench boost you want to aim for 10 to 16 points. So I felt that this bench could easily have gotten that. I'll just go back to my Gameweek 11 team. This was the Gameweek 11 team. And I felt that that bench could easily hit 10 to 16 points. I'll be honest, Foster was the one I was counting on the least. I didn't expect much from him besides some save points. And of course he got the save points, but he ended up saving Aubameyang's penalty as well. Livramento got the clean sheet, which was great. Chilwell disappointed, could have been more. I suppose you could have made the case that Chilwell would have started over Antonio, but they both got 2 points, so it's the same difference. And of course Smith Rowe scored, plus some potential bonus to come into this team. So yeah, I think it was 103 points all out on the bench boost team. Jamie says, would you replace Vardy? Yeah, I'd be very tempted. If you can stretch to Kane, Kane's the obvious move in my opinion. Oh, Tommy, yours is on the 12th as well. Yeah, my birthday's the 12th. Next Friday. Or this coming Friday. I'll be out in London again, so... I'll be out in London on the Saturday again, so if I end up first in the world, I might have to do another unexpected post-Gameweek 12 stream. Oh no, it's the international break, isn't it? I'm fine. Nothing to worry about. We're okay. Exciting news for the next video on the top 100 all-time FPL managers. I've got a new manager coming on this week, and he's got one of the best records of the managers that we've interviewed. He's got 9 top 10Ks, and we've not had him on before, so I've sent him the questions, and I'm just waiting for the answers back. And then I'll be editing that tomorrow, and I'll probably post it on Tuesday. It's going to be another crack at that one. And there has been a few changes to the Elite 100 template team. And interestingly, one of the Elite 100 activated their bench boost as well in Gameweek 11. Raskin said, I should have listened to you and used the bench boost, had 24 points on the bench. Oh, nightmare. I mean, I think there's going to be more opportunities. If you pay close attention to your bench, I think there's going to be loads more opportunities. Even as soon as Gameweek 12, I mean, I'll bring my Gameweek 12 team back on screen. I've got Foster, Livramento, Rafinha and Smith Rowe. You could easily make the case to bench boost this type of team. You know, and if I hadn't used it already, then I could make the case to using it for that team. And I would have been very tempted to. So if you really want to experiment it with in a single game week, there'll be more opportunities to. But obviously the more common strategy is to use it in a double game week. Like I said, I think there's pros and cons to using it in a single and in a double. The con to using it in a double is you have to save your wildcard to the week before ideally. You can't really prepare yourself for a bench boost team without wildcarding. So that does mean you end up saving your wildcard for very long. You know, if we end up with a double game week 35, you're not going to be wildcarding until game week 34. So you've only got about 5 weeks to actually capitalise on your wildcard. Whereas there would have been many good opportunities you potentially missed if you'd wildcarded earlier. And that's one of the benefits, in my opinion, of using it in a single. And of course, if you have used your bench boost already, you've got the opportunity to free hit in a double or triple captain in a double. Or you can wildcard straight into the double game week. Obviously, you can't use 2 chips in 1 week. So if you've used your bench boost already, you wildcard straight into the double rather than a week before. So you've got a 1 week advantage on everyone else. But like I said, the data suggests a good bench boost threshold to aim for is 10 to 16 points. So if you have a bench 1 week that you think can hit that realistically, then I would say go for it. You just have to factor in that if anyone doesn't play, then you're down a man. I was fortunate in the sense that some of my potential rotation risks all played. I don't think James was going to be dropped, but you know, you never know if Pep, Cancelo or Foden could have been dropped. Alonso could have got the nod. And then obviously it came to light on the Friday that Alonso was out, but Foster could have been dropped. Still no clean sheet for Watford all season. Can you guys hear the fireworks? Just seen your message, first name. He says, fireworks are going. Are they for fplfocal? Yeah, I think word must have got out around town that I'm up to second. So my neighbours are lighting some fireworks for me. Bit odd that they're lighting them tonight because Friday was the 5th of November, and that's the fireworks night in the UK, Guy Fawkes night. I guess some people forgot to light them, so they left it to a Sunday night. Freddie says, thoughts on Vardy to Kane and Havertz to Gallagher? Yeah, love it. Great moves. Raphael says, I hit 32 points with the bench boost. That's really good. That is really good. You've smashed it, Raphael. Well done. That's about as much as you could ask on a bench boost team. Again, I made that video which was on the biggest game week score of all time, and he got 226 points. And he used his bench boost actually, and on his bench he got 46. So just goes to show, you weren't far off the best all-time game week score for a bench boost in terms of what your bench got. Vakar says, should I keep James and Chilwell? Yeah, I'd keep them, definitely. Definitely, yeah. They've shown us this season how high their ceiling is. Chilwell I'm on James. Chilwell getting 3 goals in 3 consecutive games, game week 7 to 9. And likewise James, he's on 4 goals and 2 assists for the season. 4 goals and 3 assists after game week 11. So definitely keep hold. They're an easy hold in my opinion. There is a slight rotation risk with Tuchel and those fullbacks, but I think you keep hold. Zanti says, congrats on the 2nd rank. Thank you, mate. Appreciate that a lot. Thank you. Ludwig says, thoughts on Hwang and Duffy to James and Broja? Not sure about Broja. I think for now he's lost his spot unless Armstrong really drops off. I'm not sure what the odds are of him coming straight back into the team or not while Southampton are doing well. If it's not broke, don't fix it. So I think Armstrong and Adams continue to play. Last game week, Armstrong got an assist. Adams scored last game week. And in game week 11, Armstrong scored. So I don't think Broja comes back into the team. I know he's very cheap, but I'd probably consider other options. Maybe Hwang, or maybe all go all the way down to a base price forward, like a 4.5 striker, if the rest of your team are all reasonable to start. Ron Karen says, Sanchez out after that red. Does he miss 1 game or is it 3? Not sure if it's a 3-match suspension or 1. If it's 3, you could certainly make a case for getting rid of him, but says suspended till the 27th of November. So yeah, just 1 match. In which case, if you've got Foster, you could probably get away with keeping hold of Foster in my opinion. I don't think you have to sell Sanchez. It's a waste of a transfer really on a keeper who misses 1 game. Still think he's going to be a good option for the season, Sanchez. One of the top scoring 4.5 mids. Dante says, hey bro, do you think I should keep Ronaldo for the Watford game? Yeah, I'd keep hold of him. I don't think you want to sell a player of Ronaldo's caliber before he plays a team yet to keep a clean sheet, right? No brainer to keep hold of him for that game. It's a sort of game I would imagine Ronaldo's got a very high ceiling in. Could walk away with a couple of goals or more in that one. Ianto says, should I replace Vardy for Armstrong? I probably wouldn't do that. He's got a great fixture in Game Week 12 against Norwich, of course, but then beyond that, Liverpool, Leicester, Brighton, Arsenal, the fixtures turn quite badly. Which is a shame for those of us with Livramento as well, because he's been a fantastic bench option or even a starting option, but there's not really many games here that you'd be tempted to start him. Maybe against Brighton, possibly against Leicester, but I can imagine he'll be on my bench for that run of games. So yeah, it's kind of a 1-week punt if you're going to get Armstrong in, because I don't think you can expect much against Norwich. I mean, he could get something against Leicester and Brighton, don't get me wrong, but yeah, I don't know. I think there's probably better options. 70 says, should I sell Jimenez? No, I don't think so. I think he's a hold for now. I don't think he's worth selling. I think he's one of the better options, if anything, in that price range. Nikki Lau asks a good question. He or she says, would you spend a transfer to get rid of Sanchez if you have only one playing goalkeeper? That's a tough one. And it depends how many transfers you've got. If you've got two, I'd be tempted to make the move to someone like Ramsdale. But if you've only got the one, I actually think you'd probably be better off just riding it out. Just for the 1 week. In honesty. I think you just have to take the... not take the hit, because that sounds like I'm saying take a hit. But take the potential hit that you won't get any points from your goalkeeper. And just ride it out for 1 week. Not the end of the world, but it's not ideal. It happened to me last season, actually. I had Mendy from Chelsea. He was a bargain last season. He was only 5 mil. But he missed the odd game here and there. Cassis says, McCarthy or Guaita? Good one. That's a good question. I've not looked at Guaita too much. However, I do know that Palace have had very good underlying defensive numbers. So I think Guaita is a very reasonable option. Get the fixtures back up here. See who Palace have got coming up. So they got Burnley, Villa, Leeds, Man United, Everton, Southampton. Is Guaita 4.5 or is he 5? I think I'd go Guaita, honestly. Vieira's done a fantastic job since coming in. He's turned them around. The defensive underlying numbers are very good. I believe they're third or fourth best for expected goals conceded, which is testament to how much of an impact he's had on them. And they've got a good run of games coming up as well. I can easily see 3 or 4 clean sheets over the next 8 games. So I think Guaita just edges it. Jamie says, is Tony a good replacement for Vardy? No, I'm not convinced by Tony. He's been so disappointing. Somehow he's gone up 0.4 despite not scoring a single goal since Gameweek 5. I've got him already, so certainly I'm going to give him one more chance against Brentford. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Tony right now. He's not done enough to show us that he's worth bringing in. So yeah, at the moment, Tony's a no for me. Oh, is he 4.5? Wow. Yeah, I'd say Guaita, definitely. Really, he's flying under the radar this season. And like I say, Palace's XG conceded has been fantastic. So I would say, yeah, I'd say Guaita's a very good option. Maybe even one of the defenders like Mitchell could become an option as well. Ahmed says, play Reguilon or Livramento. I think I would go Reguilon. But that's a difficult one as well. We don't know what to expect with Norwich now that Farke's gone. Could have a new manager bounce there. Likewise, we could have a new manager bounce with Tottenham. What we do know is that Conte plays with 3 at the back with wing-backs, which means that Reguilon and on the other side, Emerson Royale will be playing in wing-back and pushing much further forward down the wings, which is good news for the likes of Reguilon and Royale. I didn't get to see Tottenham's game this game week, but I did watch the Europa Conference League game, and Reguilon was playing very far forward, getting good positions, and looked quite lively, and played a few dangerous passes. So I think there's clean sheets and a potential assist or 2 for Reguilon over the next 5. So I would say start him. Shame to not be able to start Livramento either, but I'm in the same predicament. Nuisance says, thoughts on captaining Son or Antonio over Salah this coming game week? I think it's very risky to overlook Salah, honestly. I mean, just look at his numbers for the season. Played 11 games and he's got 18 goal contributions. In my opinion, it's a no-brainer to leave the armband on him. I know he's only got 2 assists in his last 2, but you know, he's hit double-digit points 6 times this season. Last season, he hit double-digit points in 6 game weeks in total all season, so that's just testament to the form he's in, as we're not even a third of the way through the season. Paul, thanks for the donation. He says, what are your transfer plans for Gameweek 12? So the transfer plans is essentially that there's none. I'm going to roll the transfer. I don't think, even if there was an injury, I would make a transfer. I think I'll leave it how it is on screen now, unless anyone gets injured, in which case I'll just sub Livramento on for them. Obviously, one thing I like to preach is to take 2 transfers into the international break, but in my case, I was setting myself up for a bench boost, which of course meant that I had a good bench, which then of course means that if there is an injury to one of my players, I have the option to just start someone off the bench. And really, I could start Livramento or Rafinha, potentially even Smith Rowe. So I'm in a fairly fortunate position there where, you know, if someone misses Gameweek 12, I've got the option to start someone else. So the plan is to roll the transfer, and then I'll decide in Gameweek 13 what I want to do. Genius Gamer says, Diaz to James or hold transfer. That's a difficult one as well, because I can see Man City keeping a lot of clean sheets over this run of games. But I do think you want to get James in. I do think you need to find a way to get James. He just looks so good this season, as does Chilwell. And I think a double up is very feasible. Is there no other way that you can get to James? Ideally, you want to have Cancelo and James. I think that's the better duo. But if not, then yeah, I'd consider that move. But of course, I wouldn't do anything until the end of the international break. Thank you again so much for everyone who has tuned in. We've got about 520 people here. Absolute honour to have you all here. If you are enjoying the stream, do hit like to support the channel, support the YouTube algorithm, which loves likes. And of course, if you're not subscribed to the channel, hit subscribe. Much appreciated. Lots of good content planned for over the international break to keep you entertained while there's no Premier League football. I can give a clue to one of the videos I've got planned. I'm just waiting for the answers back, but I've connected with a chap by the name of Bernie Donnelly, and he literally created fantasy football. He came up with the entire concept himself. Back in 1971, he's literally the founding father of fantasy football. So I'm doing a video on the entire history of FPL and fantasy football, where it began and how it evolved to what it is today. His was called Donnelly Fantasy Football, and it was very different to today's game. Back then you still had 15 players, but basically only 5 players got you points from your team, and only goals counted for points at all. So it was very different to what we play today. And even if you cast your mind back to the very early versions of FPL, for those that are interested in FPL's history, back when FPL was first launched in the 2002 season, it was also a very different game to today. There were no chips, so we didn't have like the bench boost, free hit and all that. Bonus points was completely different. It was basically done by someone who was at the game, and they just decided who had an excellent game, and they got free bonus. There was no 2 bonus or 1 bonus, there was no algorithm. And back then you could play any formation you wanted. So you could just play 5-5-0 if you wanted. You could go strikerless, or you could play 2-5-3. So that's an interesting video. I can't wait to work on. Just waiting for the answers back from Bernie, and that's to come at some point, hopefully over the break. Oscar Kelly says, congrats on rank 2. Thanks, Oscar. From one Oscar to another. My name's also Oscar. Strikey says, Aspi to Regulon still. Oh, Aspilicueta to Regulon still to Foster for a -4. Worth it. Also, is it worth doing Son in for another transfer hit, or just do Kane? I wouldn't take a hit to bring in Foster, certainly not. I do think it's time to get rid of Aspilicueta, but if I was looking at replacements, I would go James or Chilwell, and then Regulon, probably third choice. Probably Cancelo as well, ahead of them. But I do think you want to have Son or Kane, or both, for the coming run of games. Rumours says Mount, keep or sell. I imagine Mount's going to be back after the international break, so probably okay to hold for now. But yeah, I'd keep an eye on options like Gallagher or Smith Rowe, maybe Rafinha. After Gameweek 12, Rafinha's got 3 decent games. Brighton, Crystal Palace at home, Brentford at home. Ascend asks a very good question. He says, not switching goalkeepers. So yeah, this was something I talked about a few game weeks ago when I was doing my wildcard draft. And yeah, there is the option to start Foster against Man United, but realistically, can you see either keeping a clean sheet? I don't think I can see Watford shutting Man United out, but I also don't see Arsenal shutting Liverpool out, if I'm honest. So I'll probably just stick with Ramsdale. Elliot says Havertz to Foden. Yeah, I love that move. I imagine Lukaku will be back after the international break, so Havertz probably on borrowed time. He could continue to play, of course, and he could do well playing behind Lukaku, but I do like the move. Man City will have a very good run of games coming up, of course. The next two are at home, and then beyond that, Villa, Watford, Wolves, Leeds, Newcastle, Leicester, Brentford. So I think you really want to have Foden for that run of games. Unless, of course, Pep Roulette comes back and bites us. But so far, Foden's been immune to the rotation. Boise says, congrats on your rank. Would you ever consider a 5-man defence next week? Decent fixtures. I would consider it if I had someone to potentially bench, but who do I bench really out of who I've got here, right? There's no one I really could bench. You could make a case for benching one of the Chelsea defenders, I suppose, so I'm less exposed to them conceding one goal, but you know, James and Chilwell are equally likely to score, so I'd probably just leave Livramento first on the bench. Asen says, why not transfer a goalkeeper then? I think it's a complete waste of a transfer, really. It's only 1 week, and it's just that transfer could have been used towards something much more beneficial in a later game week. So I'd rather roll the transfer, and whatever happens in goal happens, and I'm sure, or I hope, that I'll be able to spend that transfer better elsewhere. Ben Draper says, Kane or Son? At the moment, I think Son. He's about 1.8 mil cheaper. He's in better form. And of course, he gets an extra goal for an extra point for a goal. He gets a point for a clean sheet, which Kane doesn't. So I think for those reasons, Son at the moment. A little bit riskier to double up, but it could be a very, very viable differential because they're already fairly lowly owned, the two of them. Ivan says, is still the second goalkeeper for Brighton? Yeah, he is indeed. Let's check if he was actually the bench keeper for this game week. Of course, by the time Sanchez got his red card, it was they'd already made all 3 subs, so Dunk ended up going in goal. But on the bench, yeah, it was still second choice goalkeeper. So I imagine he'll be the one that gets the nod in Gameweek 12. Rohan says Stones or Laporte. Is Laporte not still suspended? Or is he back from suspension now? But either way, I wouldn't touch either of them. Stones, I imagine, might actually get a good string of minutes together now. You know, Laporte have been doing very well, and Pep's kind of if it's not broke, don't fix it with the defence. And that was the case with Stones for a lot of last season. Stones was a very good pick for a long stretch of last season when he was getting minutes. And we could see Laporte drop to the bench now because his form had certainly dropped off and Stones had come in. But I don't think I'd touch either of them, if I'm honest. I would get Cancelo or Diaz or no one else from that defence. Thanks, Armand. Appreciate that. Harren says Zaha is an option. Definitely Zaha's an option. Alai says Zaha or Gallagher. That's a difficult one. I think Zaha just edges it, but not much between them. Gallagher looks brilliant as well as an option. Yasser says José Sarr, keep or sell. I would keep him unless you've got 2 moves and nothing else to spend a transfer on. I'm not a fan of goalkeeper transfers unless they're really, really forced. Genius Gamer says, if Sanchez conceded the pen inside the box and Dunk saved it, who would get the points? That is an excellent question. I think what happens there is Lewis Dunk would get penalty save points, which I don't believe has ever happened before. I don't believe it has. Just trying to remember if anything like that's happened. I'm trying to remember in those very rare circumstances when an outfield player's gone in goal, if they get save points. For example, Kyle Walker was in goal for Man City a few seasons back. I believe what happens there is, if it were to happen, they'd get the penalty save points. Imagine that. Imagine having a player like Dunk. And imagine if Brighton were on for a clean sheet. It would be the craziest haul and the most unique haul that would never have been done before. Clean sheet points plus a penalty save points for a centre-back. Mr. says, Ben Johnson only 3.9 mil. Yeah, I'm surprised. I thought Soufal would come back into the team. He's obviously the more nailed of the... Well, he's been nailed in right back historically last season, certainly. He got the injury this season. Johnson came in, did well. Johnson came in, did well, so he's continued to play, even though Soufal's back now. Soufal came off the bench tonight, but I probably wouldn't touch Johnson. That sounds wrong. Mitesh says, Dunk saving a pen would be elite. It would be incredible. Can you imagine? The scout had him on the scout selection, actually, for Gameweek 11. Favor Achara says, who we prefer to transfer for Gameweek 12? At the moment, the plan is to roll the transfer. I don't think there's anything that needs to be done here. Looks absolutely fine to me. And if something happens to one of my players over the break, I can bring in Livramento. I'll roll the transfer and keep my options open until there's a more obvious move. I think anything right now would be a forced move. And part of my thinking when I set up the bench boost team was that I've got the option to play Smith Rowe and Rafinha in game week 13 because Southampton have got Liverpool, Antonio's got Man City, and Rafinha and Smith Rowe have reasonable fixtures, so I've got the option to bring them both in the team instead if I wanted to, and then play a 4-5-1. Thomas says Rudiger to Reguilon worth it. No, I don't think so. Reguilon's probably the most nailed in that Chelsea defence, honestly. So I think Reguilon is a good option, but I'd be happy to hold Rudiger. Chelsea have kept I think the joint most clean sheets this season, and I think they're about third best for expected goals conceded. So the data suggests that it's well worth having at least one Chelsea defender in your team. Two's viable as well, which I've taken the punt on from this game week onwards. Anyway, I think we've been going for how long? About an hour 50 minutes. I'm going to call it an end to a stream there, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Really, really appreciate it. If you have enjoyed the stream, drop a like on the stream before you go. And of course, subscribe if you're not, so you can follow my team throughout the season. On Tuesday, I'll be posting the top 100 all-time FPL managers video, along with an interview with one of the managers. A new one will be coming on. And like I said, there's some more original content planned for over the international break. So yeah, thank you one last time for tuning into the stream. I hope you all had a very good Game Week 11. I'll be on the Discord throughout the international break, so I'll chat to you there. But for now, everyone, it is a goodbye from me.